I know people think, oh, I don't have time. But what is the bare minimum that somebody could train and work out and you feel still maintaining a really good?
I think every person will have a 40-minute to 30-minute every 2 days to
Yeah,
work out.
yeah.
I got one client, believe it or not, she was 70 years. She never worked out one day in her life. She decided to start at the age of 7.
Just pick a couple quality brands and something that's more natural side of food. What do I eat, man? You telling me the food is the reason why people are going crazy?
If it's USDA approved, and it has to be 100% organic. Well, as they say, consistency, persistence.
Yes.
In this business in particular, you always have to be persistent.
All right, you guys want to talk about exciting on this episode of Stronger, Smarter, Richer? Fun, exciting, driven, wonderful story, wonderful person, beautiful heart, and very powerful mind as well is my friend Alex Jamal. Alex, thank you.
Thank you
for joining us on the show today. So listen, this is one of those cool situations where I get to actually interview somebody who's become a friend over the past, 7, 8 years or so? Maybe longer? 10? Let's just keep it at, yeah.
Well, 9.
Let's keep it 9, right? Something like that. Also, he's got one of those very powerful sort of immigrant advantage stories, which we'll talk about in just a little bit here. But Alex has very quickly, the past few years, become a very well-known celebrity fitness trainer, which I know is a very difficult business to be in.
Yes,
Has its
very
ups and downs, very challenging, especially with everything going on in the state. And I know during COVID, it was very challenging. Now the economy and so forth. But you've done a great job in, creating a great impression on people, and you've actually met and now become friends with quite a few celebrities in the fitness community as well, right?
Well, as they say, consistency, persistence.
Yes.
Always, in this business in particular, you always have to be persistent, and you shouldn't feel, okay, you're going to have days that business is slow,
Yeah.
but in back of your mind, you have to know that things are going to come, but you shouldn't ever feel like, oh, I want to change, or if you want to be successful.
Right.
Now, if you want to pursue something else, that's up to you.
So listen, one of the things that's cool about this show is I like to ask a lot of hard questions or have the quote unquote hard conversations. And you living in the Los Angeles area now for a while, it couldn't get more bougie and more fake than Los Angeles.
No.
Right, as far as in the country.
La.
Yeah, and with that being said, I've also seen you go through different cycles of your own fitness, your own health, your own mindset, and so forth. And I feel like right now there's a lot of delusion in the fitness community, especially since so many people, and women in particular, are trying to copy and paste these iconic figures and celebrities and popularities.
Yeah.
What's your take on that stuff? Like, what do you see out there?
A lot of plastic surgery. I never don't want to get old.
Do you think we're setting a bad expectation or a false expectation on young men and women right now in that community?
Anyway, look, a person has to understand you're going to age.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, in science, we reach a place where we could slow that process, make it easier, less painful, especially when it comes to joint pain, other stuff. But it's much better to use the healthier options versus, oh, I want to do what J-Lo is doing. Oh, I want to look like Kardashian.
J-Lo does look good, though, bro.
Oh, she works out a lot.
She does. That's true.
I've witnessed in my own eyes how much she works out, right? So that's one part some people don't want to do. They just want to go straight to the surgery.
Right.
Versus, okay, you want to maintain that. You want to talk about longevity. You want to live healthier. It's easy to go and say, okay, doc, cut me, do 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Okay, after that.
Let's say somebody doesn't want to go take the easy route. They do want to work on themselves. We're seeing a movement right now. Even some of the other guests have mentioned that already.
Yeah.
And now I've heard a lot of people talk about, like, look, you can take all the supplements in the world that you want. You can, change your diet as much as you want. But this one thing is truly the fountain of youth. What would you say the one thing is based on your experience?
One thing that would always uh, be helpful is exercise.
What kind of exercise specifically? Because I see Pilates, I see group fitness,
Well,
I see bicycle riding.
Let me clear the big misconceptions
Yeah.
for many people. And with all due respects to all the experts, but for example, yoga is not an exercise. I know you get many.
Well, you're gonna get a lot. No, you're gonna get a lot of BS now.
Men say, "No, are you saying I sweat during it?" I get it. It's flexibility and mobility. Now, I don't know if it's more the LA thing that we started,
Yeah.
or I say we, the city, because
Yeah.
but like, okay, some
You mean being in a yoga class with a goat on my back is not going to get me in?
one of the things, for example.
Sorry.
I know some okay, put the.
It's cute. It is cute.
Very,
yeah.
I mean, when I saw that, it was like a bunch of goats, a bunch of ladies, and you know, when I first moved to LA, talking about
LA.
that, I was doing hot yoga with. I didn't know, but my ex at that time said, next to me was Drew Barrymore.
Okay.
And then they said, and I'm like looking, okay, then we have to, it's like something, all they have to do. We go out of the yoga class, you have to drink that green thing. And I'm like, oh, what are you guys drinking? No, and they drink it in a jar, not in a glass. It has to be in a jar.
Right.
So that's a type of
LA.
Of trendy LA thing.
Right.
So if you're in a yoga class, just holding 2 pounds and doing something, and then the yoga class is called sculpt yoga or something. Okay, now you are using another thing, which is resistance training.
Okay.
So if it's one thing, if you ask me,
is that what you're getting at? Is that the one thing for you?
The one thing is resistance. You have to always put your mind and body in a challenge.
And I feel like we tell people that, and they're like, "Oh, but I don't like it. It's not fun." It's like, do you want results or do you want? Right?
I definitely get it, and I tell my clients, especially the beginners, especially people who just want to, you know, I get a lot of, for example, older adults, or sorry, older like men or women. I'm not, but let's say they just want to start now with the person training. Maybe now they can afford it more. Okay.
Right.
The first disclaimer I would say, look, the first 10 days or 2 weeks, you're never gonna like it. You will feel it's boring. You will feel, oh, why do I need to do that? But after that, if you stay on it, you're gonna start loving it more.
You feel like the results will start to motivate you.
I get one client, believe it or not, she was 70 years. She never worked out one day in her life. She decided to start at the age of 70.
Wow.
First thing, I didn't say, oh, okay, let's work out.
Good for her.
I had, you know what I did? I sat with her maybe 20 minutes. I said, look, I understand. I'm someone who's been in this industry for 30 years. Exercise is boring. And she, yeah. I said, yeah, no, it's boring. You know what? It's not the most thing you want to do.
Right.
But I started explaining the health part of it, the mindset. The mindset is very important. If you want this client to continue with you, you have to work more on their mind, more than okay, we're gonna exercise, we're gonna eat there.
But let's say you got somebody who's like, look, I got a family, I got a job, I help take care of my mother, whatever the case may be. What is the you know, I come from the background of where we basically worked out and trained 6-7 days a week. Now I'm at the part of my life where I'm like, dude, I can't do that. It's just too many important things that I need to manage. I'm now training much less as far as a frequency. Yes. What is, in your opinion, something that I know people think, oh, I don't have time, but what is the bare minimum that somebody could train and work out and you feel still maintain a really good, you know, quality of life?
Bare minimum is 3 to 4 times. 3 is minimum.
A week?
A week.
The bare minimum is 3 to 4 times. You know, you just pissed off like 50% of the audience right there.
Well, divide 150 minutes. I mean, for a whole week. You should.
My husband gets home at 6. We have 3 kids. I got to drop
I have a
people
client who has 5 kids.
Because I hear these excuses constantly.
Definitely. I have a client who has 5 kids. And guess what? He's a big businessman that he has to be the same week in 3 places in America. Central America, East Coast, West Coast. He's the only client, by the way, I take at 7 a.m. I'm not this trainer that you're gonna call, hey, let's work out at 6 a.m. I respect whoever wants to train you at 6 a.m., but I look out for my own health as well,
Right.
my my well-being, and my other clients who I train during the rest of the day.
You know, I'm at the gym at 6 a.m. now. You know that, right?
Well, if it works for you, I say that to people. If it works,
Yeah.
say
I had to. It was the only way. So you're saying 3 to 4 days a week,
3 to 4
give it about 30, 40 minutes or so,
40 minutes.
mix it
For
up.
example, Frank Stallone and I, he's been my client for a while. He's also a busy musician, busy doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We get in the gym 3 times a week, sometimes 4 when we're but we get in maximum of 1 hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's including the cardio.
Right.
Okay, but we do the the resistance training or the weightlifting. We even chat with people at that time. Say
Right,
hi
right.
to you. Do 15, 20 minutes of cardio and you're out.
Okay.
But you have to have the mindset of, I'm going to get in, do what I have to do, and get out.
You feel like, look, even if it's 30 minutes,
30
pick
minutes.
a time frame that you can commit to consistently.
Yes. Yeah. Look, I think every person will have a 40-minute to 30-minute every 2 days to work out.
Let me switch it up on you real quick. This is a big deal right now. I'm noticing, particularly with men and women, and dude, I don't know how to describe this, the right way or what angle to take on it, but I'm seeing a lot of relationships, men and women, from, I would say, 35 to 60 years old, that are having massive challenges in relationships and life with children and yada yada. And I'm seeing the patterns, and I think all these like random instances of what seems to be weird, awkward behavior. I'm out of love, I'm in love, I'm pissed, I'm angry, I'm not happy, I'm all these different things. I think it's hormonal. That there is something happening hormonally. You've got a generation of, possibly 2 to 3 or more decades now of men and women who have been fed different types of drugs. You also have birth control in the situation, which has fucked up a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so forth. And now I'm seeing all this randomness. I'm like, I don't remember my parents or ever feeling all these things. Like, what is going on and what is the solution?
Look, we both have, we come from a tough,
right, generation of parents.
And even our parents were maybe endured a tougher life.
Yeah, right, 100%.
And I was, just thinking the other day. I mean, this society have become so sensitive and so weak that they can't even handle one word.
I know.
Okay, then I'm thinking, okay, is it just because just like that, or there's something that triggering or something that causing it? So to agree with what, or like to approve what you're saying, unfortunately the food has a huge role on us. Like, this is the part of nutrition. Now I just want to say, not every trainer is a certified highly educated nutritionist, but I studied nutrition. That's my major, and the second major was exercise science, so I can a little bit.
So when you're saying food, okay, I don't want to go down the route of like, here's what you eat for breakfast, here's what you eat for lunch. We can do that on a million videos.
You're talking about
chemistry.
How food changed because maybe of human greed. How food
changed, like how specifically?
It became less pure or less organic.
So we live in we have millions of consumers. What's everybody supposed to do? Go pick fruit from the farm?
If they can. No.
What do I eat, man?
I would say always.
You telling me the food is the reason why people are going crazy?
Not.
I would agree, by the way.
Yeah, part.
I would agree. Part of
but
it is.
I highly recommend reading the ingredients, regardless if it says organic or it says like please read the ingredients. So here's a quick example.
Yeah, give us a few examples.
There's a peanut butter, for example. It says natural peanut butter. Okay, it doesn't mean anything. This is a claim.
Why? What's in it? What are you looking for?
You look at the ingredients. There's peanut butter, there's palm oil, there's sugar, okay, now I'm eating 3-4
So is there a list of like 5 ingredients that you're like, cut it, look for these 4 or 5
the
ingredients?
cleaner the label, the cleaner the ingredients, the more.
That's too vague. What do you mean by the cleaner? What specific things should we be looking out for? Just hammering you. We get some free advice.
No problem.
Free advice from Alex today, everybody.
I love it. That's exactly what you want, actually.
Right.
And this is why I'm here, because I would love to clear many misconceptions.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, many gurus says, "Oh, this, that," but
right.
Well, when it comes to the bottom line.
By the way, if you think there's people that are not credible in your industry, feel free to say their names. We'll save that for later, maybe.
Yeah. Look at 2 things. First, it should be, I like USADA if it's USDA approved, and it has to be 100% organic. Now, why this I'm saying? Not just the FDA, because some people don't know that, but the USADA have more employees that can go to more companies and check how things are going in the right way versus other organizations. And example, almond butter or peanut butter or even chicken. You're buying one name. You shouldn't have 7 names extra on the ingredient list. So this is what you really want to look at. Okay, so if you're buying milk, for example, let's switch from butters. Okay, so milk is rich in vitamin D. Now, so enriched in vitamin D, okay, now you're having extra stuff in it.
Like?
Extra vitamin. Okay, where are these coming from?
Right.
So these are
manufactured.
These are processed. Right. Okay, now I switch from in one food to a food with extra stuff. Then you come to me and say, no, but I make sure everything is okay. You know that most of...
You know what pisses me off? Is when people go, yeah, I bought and I'm talking about like super educated people will be like, I bought this, it's healthy, right? And they're just reading the words on the front.
Unfortunately, that's what...
Isn't that crazy? Like,
that's crazy. But you know what? It's also the companies who are looking for making more money. And now the law is now it's a little bit better, by the way. Back in the days, probably you remember that, like, let's say some supplement like Nitrotech. It used to have all the claims. Take 5 scoops or use it.
You're gonna,
yeah, exactly. That's why I mentioned it. You're gonna gain 10 pounds of muscle. Man. I used to, by the way, work for the #1 company, supplement company, nutrition. Okay, right. So I'm sorry, but at that time, I used to sell people clouds, and they would believe me, and they would buy it.
Sure.
Like, just imagine how easy. Like, okay, I used to, for example, like I was the top #1 salesman, and my look helped, my body helped. So people will always. That's what I'm saying. They buy the right. cover, but okay. So I say, okay, you're gonna take this fat burner. Guarantee you, just do the cut. Take one. Okay, I'm selling things that I personally don't believe will do it, but I'm just saying the placebo, and then people will buy it. Like, imagine hydroxy.
The supplement industry is like
crazy.
Massive now.
23 million just from one product.
Wow.
A year at that time.
On the fat burner?
Yeah, hydroxycut.
Oh, hydroxycut was huge.
Huge.
And they banned one of the ingredients. What was it? Epinephrine? No, what was it called?
Xanadrine?
Xanadrine, that's what it was.
Was
that the ingredient? No, there's something else that started with... No. There's an ingredient in ephedrine.
Yeah, ephedrine before it got banned.
Yeah.
Actually, here's something, everyone. It's the only real fat burner if you use it the right way. Meaning, it's the only thing that will make you use your fat like it will break down.
Dude, I know girls when I was in college about 4,000 years ago.
But unfortunately, that was
popping. Dude, they were popping them like 3-4 times a day, and I'm like, how? I take one back then, and I was like raging.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things that got banned because there was an incident of death.
Right.
And that's when, as I said before, okay, now the FDA comes in because now there's a claim of death.
Right.
Okay, but again, the problem back to the society where they use things in the wrong way, then don't. So they started using it more for partying. They started using it more to staying up for exams, and the next day they crash it. So now you're using extra stimulants to
Yeah, I get it. Look, there's a lot of stimulants in stuff in general. The
yeah.
energy drinks, supplements, pre-workouts,
Yeah, but they work in
yada
different
yada.
ways. They work in different. Ephedrine, it works on your nervous system. That was
Right.
the
Okay.
side effect from it. It was on the label, but people don't read. So,
Right.
yeah.
100%. It's all about the feeling and the physicality of it, I guess.
It definitely affects your hormones. It
Yeah.
definitely works on your focus, and it
So
works.
getting
It
back to the
works.
hormone
Yeah,
conversation,
that's right.
because back to
Yeah.
the hormone conversation. Let's say, okay, I'll give you an example. Let's just say some random friends of mine are having massive difficulties in their marriage, or they're not intimate anymore, or they don't have drive anymore, or they're not ambitious anymore. And I'm trying to figure out if it's appropriate for me to tell them, look, there's nothing wrong with you. You probably at some point in your life, or because of your lifestyle, you have a massive hormonal imbalance, and you think that there's something wrong with your relationship, something wrong with you
Yeah.
as individuals, and it's not. Your chemistry ain't right. You need to get it right. Have you, diagnosed, or I know you can't really diagnose or anything like that,
I am
but
not in a position. Excuse me.
I guess what I'm getting to is like, should women take testosterone? Should
Well,
men take
okay.
HGH? Should, you know what I'm saying? Peptides, like what's
Here,
going on?
exactly. I'm a big believer in science, and I actually helped in some studies, and I'm part of the International Society for Sports Nutrition. So we do a lot of research and studies on supplement, many things. So nowadays we reach a point where you could make your life easier in a way, and you could perform way better. And what does that mean? It's broad, right? Okay, now we could two things will be helpful: doing a gene test and doing a blood test with a professional who's
What are
going
they
to
looking for?
so for example, an endocrine doctor or anti-aging doctor who's specialized in that thing, they will look into your hormones, different type of hormones, everything, the whole panel, uh, testosterone, free testosterone, cortisol. Awaken when you wake up, test for cortisol, because cortisol changes. It's a very, and you can't really control it, but it should be in a manageable way. They look for GH, IGF-1, which is major. As we age, men and women lose that.
I heard that IGF-1 can actually make you age quicker at some point
If you have less of it.
if you have less of it.
Yeah. But your body produces it different naturally, definitely.
Okay.
But from food or from...
So let's say we don't want to go crazy into the supplement world. Let's speak to people that have businesses, lives, marriages, relationships, children, so on and so forth. Are we getting to the point in society where it's like, look, after the age of 30, you should just be doing this stuff all the time. You don't have to.
Uh, you know, unfortunately, because of the lifestyle, and I think because of the accessibility to, again, big food companies use a lot of enhancements to the food, and or they add vitamins, or they add stuff that could make them more amount of product to sell more. So that affects the structure and how our body reacts to that food. It could mainly.
I think we know that our food is fucked up and our
I
air
don't
is
want to
fucked
say
up.
all of it. I don't
What
want to
I'm
scare
getting at
people
is,
100%.
people need to start thinking, I go to the dentist once a year. I go to a hormonal doctor once a year.
I would say yes. I would say after a certain age, and actually, I would say if you don't want to go straight to the hormonal, that was endocrine, or no, ask your physician, please. When you run my blood test, could you add some of the hormones and look at them? Now, some doctors will say, "Oh, why? Where?" If say, I would love to check.
Dude, you know what I'm thinking when it comes to doctors, right?
Well, this is what actually a conversation.
Unless it's an
yesterday.
emergency, I don't think anybody
I
should
know.
get any advice from a doctor.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No, look, some doctors are. No, we can't now. They're gonna come after me for after this.
Okay, hey.
No, look, some of them are really amazing and great.
Sure.
And some of them just, unfortunately, they just want to run
Yeah.
clients and get the.
Yeah, let me
insurance
take
to
that
pay.
back. I think there's a lot of doctors I know with great intentions
Definitely
that do
definitely.
study,
We
but
can.
as far as
Yeah.
the journey of the general doctor or physician,
Yeah.
I feel that they're extremely uneducated and misinformed on health in general.
That's another problem where when they are in med school, they don't take any nutrition course. They don't even take exercise is the best.
Yeah.
If there's one thing you want to put in a pill, it would be exercise because it's antidepressant. It helps you perform better. It helps you sleep better. It helps
They don't,
keep
yeah,
your
they
hormones
don't.
balanced.
There's no way in hell the medical industry is ever going to teach that stuff to their
Exactly.
practitioners.
I mean, I train.
That's a personal decision that a
This is
doctor has to
yeah.
make.
So that's why when you go to the general doctor, they're not gonna say at the beginning, "Oh, you know what? I think you need to exercise and take care of
Yeah.
your food." Maybe now some of them, but another tip I want to say to people is push when you're doing your yearly physical. Push to ask, please add hormones. I would love to see how my
Mhm.
body is performing. Not at a younger age, unless there's a huge problem with it, but at a later age. But also another problem we have now in this country, or maybe the world, but mainly here we just talk about USA, is obesity. Obesity, you have now you have
Out of
65,
control.
68%
It's
of
out of control.
so obesity affects your hormones. Now, the more fat you have, the more estrogen is floating in your body.
Hmm.
That's why women are more
See,
like
this is
saying,
why I don't even
they're more feminine.
these
So now
generic
you are having boys that are not really feeling. Oh,
masculine.
I'm more masculine. Oh, I did. Why did before? I think people would hit puberty at the age of 12 or 13.
Hmm.
Nowadays, it's gone to 16,
How old
which is
was it for
crazy.
you?
Huh?
How old was it for you?
12.
Really?
Yeah. I was saying,
So yeah, getting to that, I know that obesity is such a big deal that there's also misinformation there because you can go get a blood test if you are overweight, which by the way, it's okay, right?
yeah,
It's part of life to. I fluctuated. I got out of really
oh yeah,
bad shape
I
a
was an
couple years
obese
ago.
kid.
But I feel like the general blood test is going to be like, oh, you're fine, you're healthy, your cholesterol's good, your blood work is good. And people are so far off the mark, and then they're not going to realize what impact it's having on them till like 15 years down the road. This is why I don't think they should go to a general doctor for advice, and they should self-educate or go to a
Exactly.
specialist.
Self-education is what's going to help you.
Yeah.
And like uh, to ask your doctor more or to look. Okay, maybe look, the doctor's not with you all the time. You're gonna
Right.
feel the symptoms. You're gonna notice stuff. If your sleep is not going well, so this is major because once you sleep, all these hormones get balanced and your body secretes more DH, and this is when you feel
Right.
better. You're supposed to feel better the next day. Now, if you're not feeling always restful sleep, there's some other, maybe you're lacking vitamins, not always the hormone. Okay, so you have to look in many things. That's why I said some blood tests, gene tests, that will always help. And
I think it is becoming more mainstream now. People are sending in and doing like their blood tests or gene tests. I know there's different brands in different ways, but it's such an interesting topic to get into because it's one that you can talk about for like 20 hours straight
yeah,
and never be done. But what I'm hearing you say in general is kind of cool because it gets rid of a lot of the noise. Number one, it's like just pick a couple quality brands and something that's more natural side of food and lock into it. At least the majority of the time, you can splurge once in a while. Get in the gym or any type of resistance training workout for at least
you can
30
do
to 40
body weight
minutes.
training, body weight resistance, push-ups, squats, walking, lunges. You can
Right.
put a pull-up bar in your house, go out and walk.
Yeah.
If you're in a state or place that's colder, I get it. You could always exercise in a small place in your house.
Yeah. Dude, when I was 2008, 9, when I started coaching, I mentioned to you a little bit about the story, similar to yours, but yours is completely different. That you were coming to Lebanon alone. I had a pull-up bar from Target that I got for $20, push-ups in the morning, floor squats, and just crunches.
And that's it.
And I didn't have that much money, right? So I was like, that's all I can do. That year was one of my leanest ever, just from those 4 exercises. So my friends were like, what are you doing? There was a joke that we had because I was struggling financially at the time. And there was a joke that we had that everybody was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What's your nutrition? And the joke was that when people would ask me, what do you do? Like, what type of diet are you on? We'd call it malnutrition because I didn't have that much money, right? So
Yeah,
I'm not even really buying that much
exactly.
food right now.
It does.
But you're right. It really is that simple.
It's that simple. Uh, and you know, nowadays okay. You go on Facebook Market. This is it there. Okay, you look. There's a lot of people that want to sell a stationary bike for $50,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 100, or whatever the price. You can always negotiate. Okay, I buy my Nespresso machines from there. I always negotiate with that. I got two.
That's the Middle Eastern in here, brother.
I mean, you're always gonna find someone in the neighborhood.
I give you $50.
Yeah, something like that. So here you go. You got if you don't want to walk outside, if it's hot or cold or rainy or whatever, you get something to exercise. You know, before I used to have more time to exercise. Nowadays, I'm more focusing on my business and my clients.
Yeah.
So what I did is I did go on Facebook Market and I got an elliptical that folds and I put it on my balcony.
Cool.
So some days I'm just rushing. I don't want to even drive to the gym. Although I would be training someone in the gym, but I didn't have time for me. So, but I want to keep my brain and heart in a good shape. So that's what I said. You always have 20 minutes. I jump on the elliptical. Tick, 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 tick.
You know what else is cool? Is all these like online programs now that people can do at home. Right, videos and like you can get these memberships that aren't very expensive, like $25 a month and so forth, without mentioning any brands and so forth.
Access to exercise and nutrition, especially the good ones, it's very easy.
Right, except for extreme conditions, it's very difficult to justify. Listen, what I'm getting at is it's difficult to justify anybody's excuses anymore. You know, I've heard you talk about it 1,000 different ways. Now, listen, you're in Los Angeles. What area are you in again? Marina Del Rey? No.
West Los Angeles.
West Los Angeles.
Yeah, Marina, Culver, Santa Monica.
Do you take on a lot of clients only in the Los Angeles area? Do you also do stuff
online? The in-person are only in my radius, which is 6 miles, which is West Los Angeles. Right. But I do a lot of online. And just before I jumped on your podcast, I was just talking to one of my online clients who is in North Carolina.
Yeah. North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina. She's been.
So do you guys do video? Do you do like
once a week check-in? Once a week check-in. Okay. And I write them a program. Before that, I will have to assess their lifestyle.
Right.
It's very important for me to understand the client lifestyle. Otherwise, just throwing a program there. Okay, go do 12 so that eat this, eat that.
Yeah.
They're not gonna feel. You're giving them any importance.
So you will drill down and help them plan it out. Exactly.
I have to understand what they're doing. How do they live? If they sleep, what's happening?
Yeah.
I mean, and then according to that, I start slowly getting them into, as I said in the beginning of my talk, I start implementing the exercise. I had another client in Canada, one of my most successful results, and she's an accountant. And a mother of 2, and she has 3 dogs and no time. You know, I had to, at the beginning, 1-hour call just to understand how can I change her life to the better. I swear to you, Joe, every week she just sent me a thank you message, how much I was a great impact on her.
That's good.
And I'm so happy about it because at least I did something. You know, I mean, before I used to compete, and it was something that I did to obtain my citizenship here.
I've seen some of the pictures in the video.
Thank you.
You know what I like about you is, I think over the past couple of years, you've taken such a realistic approach. Like I find, even if I'm YouTubing or researching a topic, and then I'm like, why don't I just call Alex?
Yeah.
And you usually break it down for me within like 4 or 5 minutes.
Exactly.
You know, and you kind of have like, you have this like funny kind of like, listen, Joe. Right? Like,
you want the bottom line of it?
Let me tell you exactly what's bullshit and what you need to do. So I would recommend highly. I know we can, hopefully continue this conversation in the near future. And you drove down from Los Angeles State, so thank you so much.
Sure, it's my pleasure. It's actually, I'm very happy to be on this podcast, and I see a lot of present and future success for it.
Yes, thank you.
I'm a big believer in you and what you do. That's why I'm here. And then
likewise.
anything I could help with, I'm here.
Likewise, bro. Guys, listen, if you are kind of like me sometimes, or a lot of my friends, and you don't want an extremist point of view or somebody who is only selling one brand or whatever the case may be, and you really don't know what to do. And, you know, I know the feeling of overwhelmed sometimes when you're just like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to do nothing. You know, if you're feeling like that right now or whenever you're watching this video and you just want somebody to talk to who really takes on more of a friendship role, but is also not going to hold back and giving you direct advice and keeping it very, very simple for you, then, you know, I'll give my brother Alex here a ring or hit him up on one of the links right here on the page. It doesn't matter what your age group is or what your status is or what your financial status is. You don't need to be wealthy. He works, you know, with people who have just, you know, regular business or corporate lifestyles. And I think it'll be a good idea to start with someone like, it doesn't have to be him, but he's here today and you have his information here on the video. You can reach out and maybe schedule an appointment to talk with him or someone on his team. I promise you, it'll clear you up and reignite your fire pretty quickly within a few minutes of having a conversation with this guy right here. I want to thank you again, brother.
Thank you.
Love you very much.
Love you too, man.
I'm glad you came down.
Sure.
Thank you.